Welcome to the Geostrategic Podcast.
Today we are unpacking China's new DF-5C intercontinental strategic nuclear missile. We're drawing insights from reports like the Global Times, looking at its debut and capabilities.
And also an expert analysis piece defending against the DF-5C ICBM threat. Some really good material to work with.
Definitely. Our mission today is really to understand the new threats this rocket poses, explore how the strategic landscape is shifting, especially for countries like the USA.
And critically analyze the U.S. capacity, both now and in the future, to actually intercept these kinds of advanced systems.
Yeah, get ready for some, hopefully, moments about modern deterrence and defense. It's quite the topic.
It really is.
Okay, let's dive right in. This isn't just any old missile launch, right? The DF-5C made its debut on a really significant day, China's V-Day military parade, September 3rd, 2025.
That's right, marking the 80th anniversary of the victory in what China calls the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. A very symbolic date.
So what's the significance? Why unveil this missile, a liquid-fueled ICBM, at that event?
Well, introducing it there, it's a powerful strategic signal. China presents it as, evidence of their ongoing military modernization.
Statement piece.
Exactly. A clear reminder of their capability to handle what they see as external threats. Professor Yang Chengjin, who's a well-known missile expert, highlighted this point to the Global Times. It shapes their national security narrative.
And Professor Yang, he outlined several pretty distinctive features of this DF-5C. What's the first one that really makes you sit up and take notice?
Oh, without a doubt, it has to be the range. The estimated range is, Professor Yang puts it at more than 20,000 kilometers.
20,000 kilometers. That covers the entire globe.
Pretty much, yeah. It signifies a genuine global strike capability. Strategically, what that means is China believes it can launch counterattacks on any military targets anywhere in the world that they perceive as posing a nuclear threat to them.
So it's about deterrence through reach.
Fundamentally, yes. It underpins their strategic security. They want to ensure they can retaliate against any point on Earth.
Okay, so global reach is one massive factor. But it's not just about distance, is it? What it carries, how it penetrates defenses. That sounds like where the real headache begins for defenders.
Precisely. This missile brings some very serious challenges for any defense system, primarily because of its advanced penetration capabilities and its precision.
Okay, break that down for us. What are we talking about?
Well, a critical element is its ability to carry multiple independently targetable reentry vehicles, MIRVs as they're known.
Great, MIRVs.
Yeah.
Multiple warheads on one missile.
Exactly. And these can carry nuclear or conventional payloads, but the really tricky part is they can also carry decoys.
Ah, decoys. So things that look like warheads but aren't.
Correct. And including those decoys, as Professor Yang pointed out, it greatly increases the challenges for defense systems to intercept. It creates this massive sorting problem for the defender.
A needle in a haystack problem, basically. But in space, traveling incredibly fast.
You got it. And think about the implications. If you're the defender, you might have to launch, say, 5, maybe 10 expensive interceptors for every single object coming in just to be sure you hit the actual warhead among the decoys.
That sounds economically unsustainable.
It really shifts the cost-benefit analysis heavily towards the offense. It can become a massive resource drain for the defense.
Okay, so MIRVs and decoys make it hard to hit. What about the speed? You hear about hypersonic speeds these days.
And this is where it gets really mind-boggling. The flight speeds are estimated to reach tens of Mach. That's many, many times the speed of sound.
Tens of Mach, wow.
Yeah, and what that means practically is that current ballistic missile interception systems have incredibly little time to react. The window to detect, track, target, and launch an interceptor just shrinks dramatically.
Seconds matter, and you might not have enough of them.
That's the grim reality these speeds impose.
So it's incredibly fast, it can fool defenses with decoys, it has global reach. But over 20,000 kilometers, can it actually hit anything precisely?
That's another remarkable aspect. Despite that immense range, Professor Yang noted it uses a combination of advanced guidance systems. We're talking inertial guidance, starlight navigation.
Satellite, like navigating by the stars.
Yes, for mid-course corrections. And crucially, China's own Beidou satellite navigation system is similar to GPS.
So multiple layers of guidance.
Exactly. And this combination provides, in Yang's words, very high precision, comparable apparently to mid to short range missiles, even out at 20,000 kilometers.
That's frankly terrifying engineering. Precision global strike.
It is. It forces everyone to grapple with a new level of strategic capability.
Okay, beyond payload speed, guidance. Are there other, maybe structural or operational things about the DF-5C that add to its capabilities?
Yes, Professor Yang mentioned two more features. One is its new structure. It's transported in 3 separate sections, each needing its own vehicle.
3 sections. What does that imply?
Well, the suggestion is that this modularity could mean quicker launch preparation, faster reaction time compared to older, maybe more monolithic versions of the DF-5 series.
Makes sense. Easier to handle, quicker to assemble, maybe.
Potentially. And second, based on how other DF series missiles have developed, there's an expectation of diverse launch methods, not just fixed silos, perhaps, which adds another layer of unpredictability for anyone trying to track or target them pre-launch.
More flexibility, more survivability for their missile force.
That's the idea.
Okay, this sounds like an incredibly potent system. How does China square developing something like this global-reaching MIRV carrying missile, with its official nuclear policy, which is usually described as defensive, right?
That's a really crucial piece of context. China does consistently state its nuclear strategy as defensive. Their stated aim is deterrence, preventing others from using or threatening to use nuclear weapons against China.
And they have the no first use policy.
Correct. They publicly maintain they'd never be the first to use nuclear weapons. They advocate for complete nuclear disarmament eventually, say they won't engage in an arms race, and will keep their forces at the lowest level necessary for national security.
A missile like the DF-5C seems to go beyond just a minimal deterrent, doesn't it?
Well, this is where capability and stated policy intersect in MIRVs. Its potential speed and precision massively strengthens their deterrence. It ensures such a devastating second strike capability.
Meaning if they were attacked first.
They could absolutely inflict unacceptable damage in return anywhere on the globe. So regardless of the no first use policy, the existence of such a weapon profoundly affects the strategic calculation of any potential adversary. It makes a first strike against China seem unthinkable.
So the weapon itself sends a message, reinforcing deterrence, regardless of the stated policy.
Precisely. And China also frames these developments, like showing the DF-5C at the parade, as responses to what they see as real threats, and demonstrating they have the means to deal with them.
Okay, so that brings us to the implications. What does this all mean for countries like the United States, constantly assessing global threats and defense strategies? This isn't just a slightly longer range missile, is it? It feels like a genuine threat multiplier.
That's exactly the right term. The DF-5C isn't just another ICBM added to the inventory. It's the unique combination, the global range, the MIRVs, the decoys, the potential speed and precision that makes it an especially challenging system for any missile defense architecture.
So the existing U.S. systems would struggle.
The blunt assessment is that no single U.S. air or missile defense system could reliably stop a sophisticated attack using DF-5Cs on its own. It's designed, fundamentally, to overwhelm defenses.
That's a pretty stark assessment. Given that reality, what kind of approach does the U.S. even take to try and counter something this advanced? You can't just build a bigger wall, can you?
No, you can't. It necessitates what defense planners call a layered multi-domain approach. It's about mixing strategic deterrence, very good early warning, and then multiple intercept capabilities that work together.
Layering, like different safety nets.
Exactly, because no single layer, no single technology is foolproof against these complex threats. You need multiple opportunities, multiple types of systems working across different phases of the missile's flight.
Okay, so before we even talk about shooting missiles down, you mentioned deterrence. That's still the bedrock, the first line of defense.
Absolutely, it has to be. The U.S. nuclear triad, its own land-based ICBMs, its nuclear-armed submarines, its strategic bombers, that remains the primary defense.
How does that work as a defense?
It works by guaranteeing that any nuclear attack on the U.S. or its allies would result in devastating retaliation. This concept, mutually assured destruction, or MAD, basically ensures the cost of launching a first strike is unacceptably high.
So the threat of annihilation prevents the attack in the first place.
That's the core logic. It's why the major nuclear powers have, thankfully, avoided using these weapons against each other. It's the foundation of strategic stability, however uneasy that stability might be.
Okay, so deterrence is absolutely fundamental. But let's say the unthinkable happens, deterrence fails. What about those actual layers of missile defense you mentioned? Where does the U.S. stand in physically trying to intercept a missile like the DF-5C?
Right, so the U.S. does have multiple layers designed for different phases of an ICBM's flight. The first theoretical chance is right after launch, the boost phase.
Boost phase. While the rocket is still firing, climbing through the atmosphere, that sounds like the ideal time. It's big, hot, relatively slow compared to later stages.
It is ideal in theory, yes. The missile is at its most vulnerable. But it's also the hardest phase to intercept in practice.
Why is that?
It's an extremely short window. We're talking seconds to maybe a few minutes at most. Developing a system that can react that fast, get into position, potentially needing to be very close to the launch site and make the intercept, is incredibly difficult technologically.
Has the U.S. tried?
Oh, yes. There have been experiments with airborne lasers, concepts for high-altitude drones, even space-based interceptors for boost phase. But currently, there's no deployed operational boost phase system capable of reliably intercepting ICBMs.
So more of a long-term goal than a current capability.
That's fair to say. It remains a very significant challenge.
Okay, so if boost phase is too hard for now, what's next?
Next comes the mid-course phase. This is when the warheads and any decoys have separated from the boostomaket and are coasting through the vacuum of space towards their targets.
And this is where the U.S. has focused its homeland defense efforts.
Correct. This is the primary focus for defending the continental U.S. against long-range ICBMs right now. The main system is the ground-based mid-course defense, or GMD.
GMD. Where is that based?
The interceptor sites are in Alaska and California. They use ground-based interceptors, GBIs. These are large rockets that launch a kill vehicle into space.
A kill vehicle. Does it explode?
No, it's designed to be non-explosive. It's essentially a guided projectile that physically collides with the incoming warhead at incredibly high speed, destroying it through sheer force of impact kinetic energy. Hit to kill, they call it.
Okay, GMD tries to hit the warhead in space. But we just talked about the DF-5C having MIRVs and decoys. Doesn't that completely mess up the GMD system? How does the kill vehicle know what to hit?
You've put your finger right on the critical weakness. The DF-5C's potential MIRV and decoy loadout massively complicates mid-course interception for the current GMD system.
So discriminating the real warhead from potentially dozens of decoys, all moving at extreme speeds in space,
is a monumental challenge. The current GMD system's ability to reliably do that against a sophisticated modern threat like the DF-5C is, let's say, subject to considerable debate and ongoing development efforts. It's a known vulnerability.
Okay, so mid-course is the main effort, but faces real challenges from advanced threats. What's the last chance?
The final layer is the terminal phase. This is when the warheads re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, heading down towards their targets.
Are there systems for this?
Yes. The U.S. has several systems primarily designed for shorter and medium-range threats that operate in the terminal phase. There's the Aegis ballistic missile defense system, usually deployed on Navy ships. Its SM-3 interceptor is primarily for mid-course, but some variants have terminal capability against some threat types.
But maybe not ICBMs coming in super fast.
Generally, its effectiveness against ICBM-class reentry vehicles is considered limited. Then you have TAE, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense.
Heard of that one? Often deployed regionally.
Exactly. It's very capable against short to intermediate range ballistic missiles, hitting them high up in the terminal phase or even very late mid-course. But again, it's not really optimized for the speed and trajectory of an ICBM warhead.
And anything else? A last-ditch effort.
Well, there's the Patriot PAS-D3 system, but that's really designed for shorter range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and aircraft. It's not considered effective against ICBMs.
So it sounds like while the U.S. has layers, the existing technology in each layer faces pretty significant hurdles when dealing with something as advanced as the DF-5C, especially with those MIRVs and decoys.
That's a fair summary of the current situation, yes. The threat is evolving, potentially faster than the deployed defenses.
Given these challenges, what's on the horizon? What is the U.S. developing to try and keep pace to counter these kinds of evolving threats more effectively?
Right. This is where future systems come in, and it's crucial for maintaining a credible defense posture. A major effort is the Next Generation Interceptor, or NGI.
NGI, what's the goal there?
The NGI is intended to replace the current ground-based interceptors in the GMD system. It's being specifically designed from the ground up to handle complex threats, MIRVs, maneuvering warheads, sophisticated decoys, much better than the current GBIs can.
When is that expected?
The target timeframe is currently around the mid-2030s, so still some years away.
Mid-2030s, okay. What else?
There's a big push towards expanding space-based sensors. More satellites, better sensors in orbit to provide much more comprehensive tracking and, crucially, discrimination, telling the real warheads from the decoys earlier and more reliably.
Using space to get a better look. Makes sense.
Absolutely. And potentially down the road, even space-based interceptors. That's a very complex and controversial area.
And what about hypersonics? We mentioned the speed. Could the DF-5C carry hypersonic glide vehicles?
That's a potential future evolution for many ICBMs. And yes, the U.S. is investing heavily in hypersonic defense systems. This isn't just one thing. It involves new types of radar that can track these fast maneuvering targets, developing new interceptors designed for that glide phase within the atmosphere.
Things that can hit targets moving unpredictably at Mach 5 or more.
Exactly. And even looking at things like directed energy weapons lasers, high-powered microwaves as potential future counters.
So lots of high-tech development aiming to catch up or stay ahead. Are there other, maybe less conventional approaches being considered alongside building better interceptors?
Definitely. There's a whole area of non-kinetic options. Think about things that don't involve physically hitting the missile.
Like what?
Well, cyber operations. Could you target an adversary's command and control systems? Could you interfere with the missile launch sequence itself? Highly complex, highly classified, but certainly part of the thinking.
Disrupting it before it even leaves the ground.
Or during flight, using electronic warfare. Jamming or spoofing the missile's guidance systems, trying to throw it off course.
Making it miss.
Potentially. And there are also broader strategies, sometimes called left of launch. This involves everything from intelligence gathering to diplomacy to potentially covert action aimed at preventing the missiles from ever being ready or usable in the first place.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about interception. It's this whole spectrum from deterrence right through to these non-kinetic options.
It really has to be a comprehensive approach.
What a fascinating and frankly sobering deep dive.
Sure.
So if we boil it down, what we've really learned today is that this DF-5C missile, it represents a pretty significant leap, doesn't it? Not just because it can reach anywhere.
Right. The global reach is huge, but the real game changer is its ability to challenge traditional missile defenses head-on with things like MIRVs and decoys.
Yeah, those features really complicate things.
And for the U.S., facing that reality means doubling down on that multi-layered approach. Strategic deterrence absolutely has to remain the bedrock.
Because interception is so hard.
Interception is incredibly hard and not guaranteed, so deterrence is key. But alongside that, there has to be continuous evolution of the defense layers, improving the current mid-core system, and urgently developing those future technologies like NGI, better space sensors, hypersonic defenses.
Because the current systems clearly have limitations against these advanced threats.
They do, and the next generation systems are trying to plug those gaps.
So as these global powers continue developing these incredibly sophisticated weapons on one side and equally complex countermeasures on the other, it really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it, for you, the listener, to think about. In this age of global reaching missiles, packed with multiple warheads and decoys, maybe even capable of hypersonic speeds, does true security actually lie in achieving perfect interception, which seems almost impossible? Or does it still fundamentally rely on the chilling logic of deterrence itself? And what does that mean for the future of global stability?
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this discussion valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the Geostrategic Podcast for more in-depth analysis on topics that shape our world. Stay informed, stay ahead, and stay tuned for the next episode.